Hi everyone, this is Matt from drawingtutorialsonline.com. I have another really cool portrait drawing tutorial to share with you. This is lesson 1 out of a 15 lesson course. The intro is about 3 minutes long, but I wanted to share with you how I start drawing a portrait with the eyes first. Let's dive into it. Now, what are you looking at on the monitor here? Basically, if my video can start, my computer's sleeping. Basically what you're seeing is the finished drawing. And this drawing took me about 2 days. It was a little bit bigger than the last portrait drawing that I did. And it took quite some time to shade all of her hair with the Kohl Erase pencil on Bristol vellum. I'll put all the details of this drawing in the PDF that goes along with this course. Yes, this took me about 2 days to complete. It was a lot of fun. I tried to keep it simple. I tried to pick a view that is 3/4 somewhat, I wouldn't call it frontal, but you can clearly see all the features. It's definitely not a profile. Now, I didn't push it so far because I could have gone in there and pushed it a little bit more, but once again, I don't want to turn this into a behemoth course there's a lot of video with this course, and each one of these videos is completely sped up. Now, in the last portrait course that I had for you, we started with the angles and we started with the edge of the hair, and then we jumped into the shape of the face. And a couple of members had asked me questions. Matt, do you have to start with the edge? Can you start with the eyes? And the answer to that is you start any way that you would like to start. And in this particular course, we're going to start drawing the eyes first. Now, this first lesson, I'm going to map out both eyes, and that is a really good way to start. You're starting with the abstract shapes of the eyes, so let's dive into it. I hope that you enjoy this course. It was a lot of fun doing this drawing, and I'm really looking forward to helping you. Okay, here we go. Let's get started. Now, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more momentarily, but you can see that I have the photo to the left, and yes, I'm going to start with her right eye. Now, I immediately just draw the angle right next to her eye, and I'm not going to draw the whole entire head with the angles. I'm focusing in on this little area. There's no right and wrong way to start. There's no certain place to start. You start in an area that looks believable and doable for you. When I look at her eye, I really just do my very best to break it up into abstract shapes. So I'm focusing in on the distance of her eye to the edge of her face. I'm focusing in now on the angle of her lashes. You want to make sure that when you're drawing eyes to use angles. I've mentioned this so many times before in just about all of my portrait drawing courses, but don't think of this as an eye. Think of it just as an abstract shape, the abstract shape of the upper eyelid, the abstract shape of what I'm drawing right now, the upper eyelid to the bottom of the eyebrow, and then think about the distances between all of those shapes. There's a lot going on. Now, in the beginning of your drawing, it's crucial that you step back. Look at the photo reference, look at your drawing. Look at the photo reference, look at your drawing. Don't get tunnel vision. It's very important to draw slowly in the beginning. You're mapping out where this is going to fit, how this is going to fit on your piece of paper, and compare shapes. Compare the shape of her eye to the edge of her eye to the edge of the face, that little area of skin. And what is wider, that little area of skin between her eye and the edge of her face, or her eye itself, the iris. Now, right away, I see that maybe I'm going a little heavy there. Now, another thing that you want to think about when you're drawing like this is don't press down so hard immediately. Use light pressure, because if you do make a mistake, it's very easy for you to tap that out with your kneaded eraser, especially with the Kohl Erase. Now I'm looking at the distance of the lower eyelid. Okay, don't think of the eyelashes as individual lashes. Think of them right now as a horizontal angle that is a thick pencil stroke. A little bit of the shadow. We're getting the bridge of the nose. I'm compartmentalizing her right cheek area. I'm looking at the distance of her nose to the edge of her cheekbone, the edge of her face. Let's go back now and check out the distance from her eyelash to the bottom of her eyebrow. And you can see immediately that I'm lowering her eyebrow. Now, I've already changed two measurements. I've changed her lower eyelid and I've changed the height of her eyebrow. Now, ultimately, what I'm going to show you in the screencast video, the topic page, is I'm going to show you the mechanics of the ball of the eye. Right now, I'm just dealing with this eye as abstract shapes of angles and measurements and size relationships, but ultimately, you want to think that this eye is a ball in the socket, and that is the reason why her lower eyelid is in shadow and her upper eyelid is catching light. Now, when you're drawing, be very, very conscious of where the light is coming from. The light obviously is coming from her right, our left, and it's coming from up above. And it's not that far up above because you can see there is not a huge, long shadow underneath her nose. There's not heavy shadows in her eye socket. Okay, now I'm going to stick with this eye for a little while. I want to make sure that I get my home base established. Excuse me. Let's reinforce the angle of the cheekbone, the edge of her face. Turn that upper eyelid. Turn it around. It's composed of 2 to 3 angles. Now you're going to look at the white of her eye just as an abstract shape. Right now, I see the white of her eye as a triangular shape. I see her lashes as a rectangular shape overlapping the edge of her head. Let's dance up the forehead because that forehead edge is helpful in establishing some of the measurements of the eye. Don't worry about the details of each individual hair in the eyebrow. Now, let's start the other eye. That's fine. Put a target in for where you think that eyebrow starts. Her left eyebrow. Let's put a little bit of the shape of her hair in. 1 or 2 shapes. So right now we have the shape of her eyebrow, the shape of her eye, and now we're putting in a little bit of the shape of her hair. A little bit of tone goes a long way. This is tricky for a lot of artists. Start her eyebrow with a light line, 2 angles. Now lean back. See, lean back and look. This video is sped up by 20%. See how I'm stopping and I'm looking at distances and I'm looking at heights? You're asking yourself the question, which eyebrow is higher than the other? Is the eyebrow round? It's definitely not round. Her eyebrows are angled. Let's get a couple of the angles of the forehead so we're spiraling out and we're giving ourselves a few more measurements. We're looking at the shape of her forehead because that will establish how wide we're going to make this other eyebrow. A little bit of shape there. The inside of that eye, I want to establish that to get my widths correct. Now let's put in a little bit of shape for the inside of her. I can't get to that. My glasses are there. The inside of the bridge of her nose, that's a side plane, shadow shape. I'm looking now at where does that eyelid start? Where does that eyelid start? Where is it in relationship? Take your time with these measurements. Don't rush. We're just putting in some light suggestions for where things are. If we make a mistake, we can always erase. Now, that little loop around line that I just drew is a portrait painter's, I don't know what I would call that, but portrait painters, traditional portrait painters would call that, this right here, the sausage shape. I always term everything the torso peanut shape. See, I'm turning that around. Okay, let's get a little bit of the side plane of her head, the temple. I'm just measuring and doing size relationships right now. Now, let's get a target for where we think the inside of her eye is. Don't draw a big circle for her eye. Right now, just get the angle of her lash. Try to connect both lashes with a gesture line. I have 2 dogs in my studio sleeping right behind me. French Bulldog and a Morkie. And right now they're pretty quiet. I don't know. I'm going to have to see how this goes with both of them. Look at the shape of the eye. Is it a full circle? Is it 3/4 of a circle? Where is that pupil? Put in the shape. Don't see how I'm not pressing down hard? It's really important that you use light pressure at this point. Get same thing now. Angles of the lash. And when you draw that outside part of her lash, where is that in relationship to her other lash? Is it lower? Is it higher? Now let's just look at the white of the eye. Once again, it's kind of making a triangular shape. And I think we should put in a little bit more tone. Just look 50% of the time at the reference, 50% of the time at your drawing. Yeah, I spoke too soon. We have a snoring pug in the background. Not a pug. That was my first dog. French Bulldog. Let's get a little bit of the lower eyelid in now. Just don't look at the lower eyelid as a lower eyelid. Look at it as an abstract shadow shape. It's in essence the underbelly of the eyeball. Turning underneath, it's a shadow shape. We can call it multiple things. We can call it the underplane of the ball. We can call it a shadow shape. We can call it a lower eyelid. We can call it many, many different things. But don't get too literal with it. Just think of it as a shadow shape. And compare that height of that shadow shape with the other eyelid. Her left eye, the right side of the drawing, is obviously lower. You want to make sure that you get the tilt of both eyes. I think we got that. If you don't get it initially, the rest of the drawing is just going to be a struggle. So this is why you want to take your time. Now, what is the pivot of her eye? Is it like this? Is it like this? Is it straight up? Is it 3/4? How is that looking? All right, well, we're just about done with chapter 1. Lesson 1. That wasn't too long, was it? Again, there's no right and wrong way to start a portrait drawing. You start wherever you want to start. We've established the shape of the forehead. We've established both eyes/eye sockets. And I think we're in a pretty good place. We have shape and we have line. All right, awesome. I will see you guys in the next lesson. Thank you so much for watching that lesson. Remember, that's just lesson 1 out of a 15-lesson course. Plus, there's screencast videos that share with you how I think of the structure of the eye, the nose, the lips, the ear, all that fun stuff. I'll be sharing some of these videos with you on YouTube. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. And if you're interested in learning more about what I have to offer you, check out some of the links in the description below. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Be good.